Hello, welcome back to Cinderella Math. Today I'll be doing a pre-calc level video. I could see this being in an advanced algebra 2, but more likely than not a pre-calc. And I have some problems that were sent to me by one of my lovely students. Um, so they're kind of random. They're not really in order from like easiest to hardest like I normally like to do. I'm just gonna be doing kind of some random problems. I won't put up the worksheet because it's a little dim, so I'll just be writing on there. So go ahead, grab just pencil, paper. I would have a regular calculator with you, and then if you're allowed to use a graphing calculator, I will probably pop to Desmos. Not for every question, but I'll show you how you can use Desmos to check these. I won't, again, not on everyone, but if you want to have Desmos or a graphing calculator, feel free. Right, let's go ahead and get started. Again, these are in not the order of difficulty. They're just the order on the worksheet that one of my tutoring students has sent me. I'm going to call it example 1. If you are my student that sent me this is actually number 3 on the paper. So we have 2 over x minus 1 squared plus 1 needs to be less than 0. So usually we would like the 0 there, and we would just work this problem with everything on the left-hand side. But this is actually a trick question. Go ahead and minus this 1 off, and we get 2 over x minus 1 squared is less than negative 1. And that is just not going to happen, right? Let's think about this kind of logically here. I wrote out all this work. Let me find my work here. That bottom of the left-hand side is always going to be positive. So just kind of aside here. Any number squared, whether it's positive or negative, other than 0, kind of ignore 0, is going to be positive, right? Think about it. 5 square, positive, but so is negative 5 square, right? Any number, when you square it, is going to be positive. So this bottom right here is always going to be positive, which will result in 2 divide a positive. Well, but 2 is positive. So this is a positive divide a positive, which is positive. And now drop down this symbol, drop down negative 1. When in the world is a positive going to be smaller than negative 1? It's not. This is no solution. You can spell it out, or you can do the math symbol for no solution, which is 0 with a slash. So we are starting right off the bat here with a tricky question that does happen. I won't say it happens a lot. Just watch out for that. You can never have a positive smaller than a negative. Just will not happen. So no solution. All right. If you graphed the original problem, so what I have written there in my black pen, if you put this part in Desmos, you will see no lines coming down. That's no solution. Alrighty, now I'm going on to one that is pretty tricky. I'm going to call it example 2. If you are a student that sent me the worksheet, it is number 4. Alrighty. If I could find the worksheet, that would be good. All right, here we go. We have 5 over x minus 2. I'm making sure I can read my own handwriting here. Yep. 5 over x minus 2 plus 3 over 2 minus x is greater or equal to 1. That is our original question. All right, let's get a common denominator on your left-hand side. But see, that's so close. So I want you to remember a trick. You should have learned this in Algebra 2. This is just a trick, or not really a trick, but a hack, I guess. Trick, hack, whatever. Remember this, again, trick. If you have A minus B, but then you have B minus A, they're not the same, right? A plus B is the same as B plus A because addition is commutative, but subtraction is not. What you can do to get it the same is times one or the other, doesn't really matter. I'm going to do the second one, by -1. So that would be negative B positive A. Okay, but that still doesn't match, right? But now this is addition, and you can change the order of addition because, again, it's commutative. So that's A plus negative B. But we know plus a negative is just minus. So this is A minus B. Yay. And we did that by simply negating the second one. We could have negated the first one. It doesn't really matter. So back to our actual problem. Let's negate this bottom. But if I negate the bottom, I'm going to be fair and negate the top. So the first part, we're just going to leave alone. Then we have plus -3. And then send this negative through. So that'll be -2 positive x. And then we still have greater or equal to 1. Okay, but now that still doesn't match, but we're allowed to flip this one around. Okay. Plus a negative could just be minus. And that's x plus -2. Okay, but that's still, wait, oops, I've messed up a sign. Right there should be minus. There we go. Okay, and then that still doesn't match. Right here, plus a negative is really minus. So we now finally have a common denominator. And since we have a common denominator, we can go ahead and put these together. So that's really going to kind of cover up our trick here. That is really 5 minus 3 over the common denominator, x minus 2, bigger or equal to 1. Well, 5 minus 3 is just 2 over x minus 2, bigger or equal to 1. And now we want to get this guy equal to 0, or get the right-hand side to be 0. So let's minus 1, and that'll come over here. So 2 over x minus 2, subtract 1 is greater or equal, this cancels to 0. That is our new problem. And I'm actually going to delete this all off right now and reset. And let's go ahead and put this over invisible 1 while we're at it. Okay, so this is still example 2, number 4 on the actual worksheet. So pause me if you're copying any of this down. Okay. And we're going to start from there. I'm going to move that up to the top. So we have 2 over x minus 2 minus 1 over 1, because we want it to look like a fraction, greater or equal to 0. Okay, that's our new problem. But now we need a common denominator on that guy. So we're going to just times by x minus 2, go upstairs, do the same. So that's 2, distribute this -1. So minus x plus 2, and then the bottom is just x minus 2. 2 plus 2 is 4 minus x all over x minus 2. There. That's our problem now. So now we need to figure out where this is greater or equal to 0. You want to look at your bottom, and I call this the naughty or the impossible numbers. By naughty, I mean what would make the bottom 0. So most likely you can do this in your head. If not, just say x minus 2 set to 0. That would be 2. That is going to be a critical value. You can say CV for short. Because if you put 2 in there, 2 minus 2 is 0, and we can't divide by 0. It is just impossible. So we need to check what I call the naughty point or the impossible point. And then do the same thing on the top. But the top's not considered naughty because the top of a fraction can be 0. So go ahead, set this guy equal to 0. So 4 minus x equals 0. Just move this over. 4 is x. That's your other critical value. Okay? See how this original problem has an equal. The bottom one, the naughty, cannot equal. Why? Because again, if you plug 2 into that denominator, 2 minus 2 is 0, and we can't divide by 0. Okay, we are now going to set up a number line. And you're going to put your critical values on there from least to greatest. So we had a critical value of 2 and 4. So 2, then 4, and at 2, I want you to go ahead and put an open dot because it can't actually equal. But 4, since that was the top critical value, it can actually equal. So go ahead, put a solid dot there. And again, why are we doing that? Because this did have the equal, so the 4 is okay, but since the 2 is naughty on the bottom, it's not. Okay. And then right here, I'm just putting it in a green box. That is what we want to be bigger or equal to 0. Well, if you're bigger or equal to 0, you are positive. So we are looking for this guy to be positive. And now you're going to do something called test values. You get to pick your favorite number and plug it into what I have in the green box. So pick your favorite number. Always work from left to right. Pick your favorite number less than 2. I am going to pick 0. You can pick anything you want as long as it's less than 2. Usually 0 is pretty nice to plug in. Plug that in to the green box. Anywhere you see X, give it a 0. So that's going to be 4 minus 0 over 0 minus 2. Now, you don't actually have to do all of this arithmetic. You can, but you don't have to. You just need to figure out if this answer is positive or negative. 4 minus 0 is positive. 0 minus 2 is negative. And a positive divided negative is a negative. Put an N right there, or some people like to do a minus symbol. I like to do the N, but you do you. Okay, and then scratch off the 0 or whatever you used for your test value because that's not actually the point we care about. That was just our tester. Okay, now pick your favorite number in between 2 and 4. Well, a logical choice would be 3. And plug that in to the green box. I highly recommend using colored pens for this, especially if you have those erasable pens, because then you can kind of see your test values. Okay, plug in 3. So that would be 4 minus 3 over 3 minus 2. 4 minus 3 is positive. 3 minus 2 is positive. Positive divide positive is positive. Put a P, or some people like to do a little plus. Scratch off, because you could have done anything in between 2 and 4. You could have done 2.5, 3.5, 3.9, whatever. Okay, pick your favorite number bigger than 4. I am going to pick 10. I like doing 10. For me, 10 is like a pretty number, but you can pick anything you want as long as it's bigger than 4. Put that in to the green box. So that's 4 minus 10 over 10 minus 2. 4 minus 10 is negative. 10 minus 2 is positive. Negative divide positive is negative. Put an N or a minus, scratch off your test value, because again, you could have done anything bigger than 4. Okay, now back to the green box, and it had to be bigger or equal to 0. So we were looking for positive. So our final answer is going to be where we have a P, or if you did the plus sign, on your chart. So that's right here from 2 to 4. So final answer, 2, comma 4. This is in interval notation. 2 is open, so give it a soft parenthesis. 4 is closed, so give it a hard bracket. This is the answer. That is an interval formation, and I think, or notation. I think that's how most pre-calc teachers would want this. You could also say X is between 2 and 4, and could be equal to 4. Okay, if you graph this on Desmos, which I guess I will. Again, I won't do all of them on Desmos. You will see it's shaded in between here. Okay, so I'm going to pop to Desmos for this example 2. Let me find him, Desmos. Oopsies, sorry. There he is. And you just type the original problem, which was 5 over x minus 2 plus 3 over 2 minus x, and it was greater or equal to 1. And see the shading there? Starts at 2, but it doesn't have a solid line. So it's a soft 2, and then it goes to 4, and you can see it has a solid line. That's how you can check your work if you're allowed to use decimals. Okay, that was a hard one. All right, I'm going to number 5 on the worksheet. I'm going to be calling this example 3. And in my opinion, it's the hardest one on the worksheet. Let me go back to my nice slideshow here. Get a white sheet of paper. All right, this is going to be example 3 or number 5 on the worksheet. Again, the worksheet's kind of dim. That's why I'm not sending it up. It's hard to see on the screen. This was x over x squared minus 6 is greater or equal to 1. So let's go ahead, move that 1 over. So we'll minus 1, it'll come over. So that's x over x squared minus 6 minus 1. This will cancel and be 0. Go ahead and give him a fraction. And then we need a common denominator. So we'll just invite x squared minus 6 to the denominator, but we got to be fair and invite right there. So that's going to be x, distribute, negative x squared, distribute, positive 6 all over the common denominator is bigger or equal to 0. All right, go ahead and put that in standard form for me. I'm coming up to the top in black pen. So that's going to be negative x squared plus x plus 6 all over the denominator greater or equal to 0. Typically, we do not like the negative in front of there. So let's pull that out. I'm going to factor the negative on the top, which would leave x squared minus x minus 6, right? Because if you distribute it back, that would be negative, positive, positive. Yep, that's good. So I just pulled a negative. Basically, I negated everything. And the bottom's fine. Okay, that's where we sit. You didn't technically have to pull a negative, but that'll just make your life easier. Okay, now let's find our impossible or our naughty by taking this bottom and setting it equal to 0. So naughty is the bottom set to 0. So x squared minus 6 set to 0, move over. Take the root. So x is root 6, but don't forget your plus or minus, right? Anytime you take a root, plus or minus. These are our critical values, and they are different. That's a positive root 6 and negative. Okay. And now let's get the top set to 0. All right, I'm going to have to do some erasing, so I have room here. So we have negative, I'm at the top at red, x squared minus x minus 6 set to 0. You can go ahead and divide negative 1. That's a ghost, right? So 0 divide anything is just 0. And then let's factor this. Factor however you've been taught to factor. I use the magic X method. So I multiply here, add here. That would be negative 3 times 2. That would multiply correct and add correct. If you factor differently, factor however you factor. And that should factor to x minus 3, x plus 2. Set those to 0. So that's the top now. Over, let's see here. Let's see. Oh, actually, no, just go ahead, set them equal to 0. Sorry, so that's x minus 3 set to 0, x plus 2 set to 0, move over, move over. So x is 3 and negative 2 are our other critical values. Okay, so technically the top was negative factor x minus 3 and factor x plus 2. Again, the negative was right there. And then divide the bottom was x squared minus 6, and we were going greater or equal to 0. That is going to be our box this time. Put that in a box. Okay, I'm going to have to erase a little bit. I'm only going to keep our box. Now make your number line and put on all your critical values from least to greatest. So we had critical values. So first of all, we had critical values from the bottom of plus minus root 6. So remember, that's different. There's a negative root 6 and there's a positive root 6. And we had critical values from the top of, where'd it go? 3 and negative 2. So to see which one's the smallest, I mean, definitely negative 2 is small, but let's see about negative root 6. So I'm just going to put that in my just regular calculator. Negative square root 6 is like negative 2.4. So that's a little more negative. So negative root 6. And then, so if root 6 negative is negative 2.4, root 6 positive is regular 2.4. So that would come next, and then 3. Let me give a little more space on these two. Oops, sorry. Let me wipe that out and give just a little more space. Okay. All right, and now let's decide what kind of dot. So it does have, look down here, it does have the equal. So I'd like to give a hard closed dot to everyone, but I can't. Remember, the bottom ones is where the bottom would be 0, and that's impossible to do. That's naughty. So the bottom ones, the root 6 thingies, go ahead and give an open dot. The top ones, the top can be 0. So go ahead and give those two a closed dot. Okay, now this test values is going to be so annoying. Okay, we're going to have to test a lot. So pick your favorite number less than negative root 6. And remember, that's like negative 2.4, and this one's like regular 2.4. I'm going to pick like negative 10. Again, I just like doing tens. And that's going to go into the red box. So I'm going to do negative 10 minus 3, negative 10 plus 2 over negative 10 squared minus 6. So again, you could work that all out. You could pop it through a calculator. But I just kind of see what the signs are. So the top's going to be negative because of that guy right there. And then this is negative. This is negative. So I have 3 negatives on the top. Negative times negative times negative is negative. And on the bottom, that's 100 minus 6. That's positive. A negative divide positive is negative. So that's a negative. Scribble the test value. Okay. All right. Whew. Okay, keep going. Now we need something in between negative 2.4 and negative 2. There's not much to pick there. I'm going to do like negative 2.2. Okay, I know that's going to be annoying. Go into the red box with that. So that's negative 2.2 minus 3, negative 2.2 plus 2, all over negative 2.2 squared minus 6. Okay, so on the top, this is negative. Negative 2 minus 3, so that's negative. Negative 2.2 plus 2, is that still negative? So negative, negative, negative makes a negative. And on the bottom, I don't know what negative 2.2 squared is. So I'm going to put that in my calculator. Do it in parentheses. That's like 4.8. But if you do 4.8 minus 6, that would be negative. So we have negative divide negative, which is positive. Put a P, scribble. Okay. Now we need between negative 2 and positive root 6. An obvious choice there would be 0. When you can do 0, do it. Plug 0 into the red box. So that's going to be negative 0 minus 3, 0 plus 2, 0 squared minus 6. Okay. So that is negative because of this. 0 minus 3 is negative. 0 plus 2 is positive. So negative times negative is positive, times positive is positive. On the bottom, 0 squared minus 6 is negative, which gives negative. Put an N, scribble. Pick your favorite number between 2.4 and 3. It's not much choice here. I'm going to do like 2.5. Put that into the red box. Negative 2.5 minus 3, 2.5 plus 2, 2.5 squared minus 6. Okay, so the top is, this is negative. This would be negative. This would be positive. And the bottom, 2.5 squared, I'm not quite sure what that is. So I'm going to let my calculator do that. That's like 6.2. So 6.2 minus 6 would be positive. Okay, so on the top, negative negative is positive. Times positive is positive. Positive divided positive is positive. Put a P, scribble up. Pick your favorite number bigger than 3. I'm going to do 10. You pick anything you want, as long as it's bigger than 3. Put 10, or your number, into the red box. Negative 10 minus 3, 10 plus 2, 10 squared minus 6. Okay, the bottom I know is positive, because that's like 100 minus 6. The top, negative, positive, positive. So that would come out negative. Negative divided positive would be negative. Put an N, scribble. If you can't do all that like negative, positive stuff in your head, just push it through the calculator and just see what the result is, just the sign of the result. Okay? Ooh, all right. Now, final answer. Look back to the red box. We went greater or equal to 0. If you're bigger than 0, you're positive. So we went all the points where we have P. If you did not the P's and N's, you were going to look for little pluses. So here to here, and here to here. See why we scribble out our test values? It's very easy to get confused if you don't. Make sure you're scribbling those out. So final answer in interval notation is open negative root 6 to negative 2 closed, and union notation, open root 6 to 3 closed. That is your final answer in interval notation. That one's a mess. Whew. Okay. Alrighty. I'm going on to the next one. I don't even know. I think this is example 4. If you're on that worksheet, if you're my student who sent me this, I believe it's number 6. We have 1 over x plus 2, x minus 3 squared. Ooh, I don't think I saw the squared when I worked this before. Nope, I didn't. Okay, that's okay. Life happens. Greater than 0. Well, at least it's already got the 0 on the right-hand side, and there's nothing to get a common denominator for. So we just need to solve it. So let's go ahead. Let's find our naughty by taking the bottom set to 0. So that would be x plus 2 set to 0. So that would be negative 2. And x minus 3 squared set to 0. Well, take the square root, but square root of 0 is still 0. And x equals 3. So this is a critical value, this is a critical value. And usually we would take the top set to 0 as well, but 1 set to 0, that doesn't, no, right? That doesn't work. There's no critical values off the top. So we'll make our number line. Critical values of negative 2, put an open, because that would make the bottom naughty, and 3, open as well, because it would make the bottom naughty. Plus, we don't even have the equal this time, so everything would be open. Even if we had other critical values, they would all be open, because there's no equal. Okay, this one's way easier than the last one. Pick your favorite number here. I like to pick 10s. I'm going to pick negative 10 into the function. We don't even have to do anything different. So that's going to be 1, which is positive, over negative 10 plus 2, 10 minus 3 squared. All right, negative 10 plus 2 is negative, and anything squared, we talked about this on example 1, anything squared is positive. So that's positive over negative, which is negative. Put an N, scribble. Okay, so yeah, if you are my student, I messed this one up because I missed the square on your text. Anyway, sorry, this should be correct now. Pick your favorite number, 0, definitely, okay? That's always a good choice. if it's in your interval. So putting 0 into the box. So that'd be 1, which is positive, over 0 plus 2, 0 minus 3 squared. So that's 0 plus 2 is positive. Anything squared is positive. So this is positive. Put a P, scribble. Favorite number bigger than 3. Let's go 10. Again, you don't have to do 10. Do whatever you want as long as it's bigger than 3. So 1 positive over 10 plus 2. 10 minus 3 squared. 10 plus 2 is positive. Anything square is positive. This is positive. Boop. Okay. That looks a little weird because usually it switches, but not always. And I don't think I messed up any arithmetic. So let me check real fast. Looks okay to me. Okay, so I am getting a final result here of it's bigger. We want bigger than 0. So again, if you're bigger than 0, you're positive. So from here to here, so open -2 to 3, open, and union notation, 3 to forever. And you might ask, why do we have to split that? Why couldn't it just be 1? Because of this open dot at 3, you have to stop there and then restart. I know it's annoying. That is what I'm getting final answer on example 4 or on the worksheet number 6, which again, I did incorrectly before because I missed that square. Let's check that one since it was a little weird and since I missed it yesterday because apparently I'm blind. Okay, going over to Desmos. Let's graph exactly what it said. Okay. See, it doesn't stop at 3 though. But it has to. Yeah. It doesn't show the break at 3. So this just shows solved -2, because see how there's not a sharp line, to forever. But really, we have to break it at 3 because if you plugged 3 in, the bottom would be 0, right? Because 3 minus 3 is 0. 0 squared is 0. The bottom would be 0, which we can't have. So it should really break at 3. That's the downside to Desmos. It's not always what you see. Even if you zoom in, it's got 3 shaded, but it really shouldn't. Huh, okay. What I had was right. You should break it at 3. All right, just a couple more here, going back to my nice sheet of paper. All right, on the worksheet, this is number 7, but I think this is our example 5 for this video. It's 1 plus 2 over x plus 1 less than or equal 2 over x. Let's go ahead and make this one a fraction. All right, go ahead and bring this guy over because we want the right hand to be 0. So we have 1 over 1 plus 2 over x plus 1. You'll subtract him to bring him over, so minus 2 over x. That'll cancel to be 0, which is what we want. Okay, so all 3 of those fractions on the left need a common denominator. So everybody needs an x plus 1 and an x. You don't really have to worry about the 1, right? So this one, we're going to invite x plus 1 and x upstairs as well. This one, we just need to invite x upstairs as well. And this one, we need to do x plus 1 upstairs as well. Okay, so the top is now, who cares about a 1? That's just x plus 1, plus 2x, and then distribute. That's a -2. So that'd be -2x minus 2 all over the common denominator. Again, we don't care about a 1. X plus 1 less than or equal to 0. All right, keep simplifying on the top. See that 2x minus 2x? He's just gone. And go ahead, distribute here. So the top is now x squared plus x minus 2, and the bottom's fine. And still less than or equal to 0. Okay, let's go ahead and get our critical values off the bottom. Set to 0 for our naughty. So this would just be straight up x equals 0, and then x plus 1 equals 0 would be -1. There's our critical values, critical value. Now set the top to 0. So we have x squared plus x minus 2 set to 0. I'm going to factor it. Factor however you like. I use our magic x. 1, 1, 2, 1. Multiply there, add there. So if you had 2, spend 1. Yep. So that would be x plus 2, x minus 1 set to 0. Set to 0. Critical value, critical value. Okay. So pause me if you're writing somewhere. Here's our new problem. The top has factored to x plus 2, x minus 1. The bottom was already factored as x, x plus 1, and it's less than or equal to 0. We have critical values. What's the smallest? -2, then -1, then 0, then 1. Don't forget about the 0. This x on the bottom is just straight up x equals 0 for our critical. All right, remember, even though it's got the equal, the bottom ones are naughty. They can't equal that because it would make the bottom 0. We can't divide by 0. It's just impossible. So on the bottom critical values, put an open circle, and this one as well, because those were off the bottom. On the top ones, the top can equal 0. So since this has the equal on the top critical values, go ahead and put a hard circle or a closed circle. Okay. The red is what I'm going to call our box this time. That's a very sloppy -1. Okay, I'm going to delete to have some room, and then we need to pick our test values. Okay, favorite number less than -2. You know, I'm going to pick -10. You pick whatever you want as long as it's less than -2. And I'm plugging into the red box. So that's going to be -10 plus 2, -10 minus 1 over -10, -10 plus 1. Again, if you don't want to do all this arithmetic, just do it in a calculator, type exactly what you see, and then you only care about the sign of the answer. -10 plus 2, that's negative. This would be negative, so that would make a positive. That's negative, that's negative. Positive is positive. Put a P, scribble. Favorite number in between -2 and -1 would have to be -1.5. I mean, it wouldn't have to be, but there's not that much choice there. You have to pick a decimal or a fraction. So let's go -1.5 is what I'm going to use because that's in between. So I'm going to do -1.5 plus 2, -1.5 minus 1, -1.5, -1.5 plus 1. And again, if you don't want to mess with all that in your head, push that in a calculator, note down the sign of the result. You owe me 1.5, you give me 2, you gave me extra, so that's positive. You owe me 1.5, you borrow 1, that's negative, so top's negative. That's negative, that's negative. So the bottom's positive, negative divided positive is negative. Put an N, scribble. Favorite number in between -1 and 0, I'm going to do -1/2. Again, you don't really have much choice there. -1/2 or -0.5. So I'm going to do -1/2 or 0.5, whatever, plus 2, -1/2 minus 1, -1/2, -1/2 plus 1. Okay, so this would be positive because you owe me 50 cents, you give me 2, that's extra. This would be negative, so positive, negative makes negative. On the bottom, this would be negative, and this would be positive. So that makes negative. Negative divided negative is positive. Put a P, scribble. Again, you don't have to do all that. I like to. And to me, that's faster than typing in the calculator. But for you, that may be faster just to plug and chug. Favorite number in between 0 and 1? Well, I'm going to do +1/2 or +0.5 this time. So that's 1/2 plus 2, 1/2 minus 1, 1/2, 1/2 plus 1. Okay, the bottom's positive, positive, positive. Okay, the top, positive, negative. Positive, negative, that's negative. Negative divided positive will give us negative. Put an N, scribble. Favorite number bigger than 1. I'm running out of colors on this. I'm going to do it in black. 10. You do anything you want as long as it's bigger than 1. Going into the red box, I'm going to be at the top for my work. 10 plus 2, 10 minus 1, 10, 10 plus 1. So top is positive, positive. Bottom is positive, positive, positive divide positive, 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 scribble. Woo! Okay. Look at the original problem, so the red box problem. It is less than or equal to 0. We are wanting less than 0. We're wanting negative this time. So look at your number line. There have the results of all our testing. We want the ends, or a minus sign if you did that. So final answer, we want ends, so here and here. Oh, nope, closed bracket, -2 to -1 open and union. Open bracket 0 to 1 closed. Woof. Let me check what I had originally on this one. Where did that go? Hmm. Yeah, that's what I had. Looks good. Alrighty, I think I've just got one more. Let's see. That was, yeah, I just have one more problem, which will be example 6 or number 8 on the worksheet. Example 6. Here's our original problem. X plus 2 over x plus 3 less than x minus 1 over x minus 2. We want everything to the left, so let's move this over. You would subtract it. So we're subtracting x minus 1 over x minus 2, and then you would subtract it that way as well. So subtract x minus 1, x minus 2, and then this would cancel and be 0, which is what we want. Common denominator. So we need to invite x minus 2 and upstairs. We need to invite x plus 3, top and bottom. All right, so that's x plus 2 times x minus 2 minus x minus 1, x plus 3, all over common denominator x plus 3, x minus 2 less than 0. All right, we do need to FOIL all this out or multiply. Boop, 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 boop. So that would be x squared minus 2x plus 2x minus 4. So put these together, that would cancel and just be x squared minus 4 for the first one. And then minus, and then FOIL these. So that's x squared plus 3x minus x minus 3. Put that together. And then it's minus that whole result. So right here, this minus is minus all of that. Okay. Okay, so go ahead and distribute that negative. I'm ignoring the bottom for now. It's fine. Boop, boop. Okay, this guy would cancel. -4 plus 3 is -1. And then bring the bottom back. And bring the less than 0. I just ignored the bottom the whole time because I was being lazy. Okay? That is going to be our kind of box question this time. So I'm going to erase. If you need to copy, pause me right now. And that black at the very bottom is our new thing. Okay. Set the bottom equal to 0 to find these critical values. So that would be x plus 3 set to 0, x minus 2 set to 0. There's our bottom critical values. Now set the top equal to 0 to find the top critical value. Okay, there's our top critical value. Put your critical values on a number line. Smallest first. So go least to greatest always on your number line. Okay, these are all open because look, there's no equal. So open, open, open. If there was an equal, the bottom two, these red ones, would be open and the blue one would be solid. But there's no equal, so they're all just open. Okay, and the black equation is our box. This guy. Ignore the equal zero there. Pick your favorite number. I'm going to pick -10. So we have -1 minus 2 times -10 all over -10 plus 3, -10 minus 2. The bottom, that's negative, that's negative. So the bottom's actually positive. The top, -1, this would be plus 20, so that's positive, which will be positive, put a P, scribble out. Again, if you don't want to do all that arithmetic, put in the calculator with the parentheses. That's important. Favorite number in between -3 and -1/2. I'm going to be doing -2 into the box. So -1 minus 2, -2, -2 plus 3, -2 minus 2. So that's really -1 plus 4. So that's positive. That's positive. That's negative. Positive over negative, negative, put an N, scribble. Favorite number between -1/2 and 2, well, 0. That's in between there, yeah? Or 1, but I think 0 is easier. So putting it into the box. -1 minus 2 times 0, 0 plus 3, 0 minus 2. So this is just -1. Anything times 0 is gone, so that's negative. Positive, negative, 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 positive. There we go. Favorite number bigger than 2, I'm going to do 10. Into the box, I'm in the yellow pen. -1 minus 2 times 10. 10 plus 3, 10 minus 2. So the bottom, that's positive, positive. The top, that's -1 minus 20. So that's negative. So negative over positive is negative. Put an N, scribble. Okay, there's the results on our number line. And now go back to the original box thing. It is less than 0. So we want negative. Okay, I got a white out here. Let's get our final result. We want negative. So go back to your thing and we're looking for N or minus. Here and here to forever. So open -3 to -1/2, open, and open 2 to forever. Alrighty, that will do it. I hope that was helpful. These are a pain, but with practice, yes, they still take forever. With practice, they're kind of fun with all the positives and negatives. I think, I know, I'm weird. I hope that was helpful. Please feel free to use a comment if you need more examples, and I hope you're having a great day. Bye-bye.